not a medical, financial, or legal advice whatsoever. Content provided in this video should be used for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only.
What's up, dear viewers of YouTube? My name is Mark and welcome back to my channel. This video will be about gabapentin, and those of you that hate gabapentin or have something negative to say about it, you can easily just skip this video and move on to the next. Try not to dislike it if you dislike gabapentin. If you choose to dislike the video, make sure to hit the dislike button twice. Thank you. And now let's move on to the video. The reason why I want to talk about gabapentin is because I know it's a very controversial topic and many people talk negatively about it because they call gabapentin another addiction. It causes withdrawals on its own. It has a crazy tolerance. People build tolerance quickly, basically, and people also say that it potentiates other opiates, so people use gabapentin opiate to get more euphoria, etc., etc. This is not going to be a video of gabapentin maintenance or gabapentin to be taken for the rest of your life type of thing. This is strictly to be used for a short-term either detox of opiates or to be used to transition from fentanyl or methadone to Suboxone. We know that transitioning from fentanyl to Suboxone was something complicated for some people because of the complex binding affinity of fentanyl to the opioid receptors. I guess actually one of the viewers actually told me that, I think he said that fentanyl binds to lipid or fat cells in the receptors. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know exactly, but because it binds to lipid cells, it tends to be occupying the receptors much longer, even though you don't feel the effects of it. So, and most of you know what is gabapentin. If you guys don't, I will definitely let you know. Well, gabapentin is prescribed to treat nerve pain, alcohol, cocaine withdrawals, restless leg syndrome, diabetic neuropathy, fibromyalgia, and seizures. It works by altering one's calcium channels to reduce seizures and ease nerve pain. So that's why it probably helped me with my nerve pain that I described. It may also be used to treat anxiety, sleep problems, and opiate withdrawals. That's what we're talking about here. However, I also must say that many sites report that gabapentin or Neurontin, that's the brand name of the drug, it actually can cause suicidal thoughts, mood swings, and abrupt changes in users' behavior. It can also cause elevated blood pressure, fever, sleep problems, appetite changes, and chest pain. Like I said, I did not take it on a regular basis, and I don't have much experience with it, but as per my research and after speaking to some people about this medication, it does not have these negative side effects if used for opiate withdrawals for a short period of time, such as up to 2 weeks. Since we're talking about gabapentin for opiate detox or opiate withdrawal, it might make sense to mention how it actually helps opiate withdrawal to lessen. And though the mechanism of action isn't well understood, gabapentin is thought to have a key interaction with both inhibitory and excitatory neurotransmitter systems in the brain, which are GABA and glutamate. Its effects on the balance of inhibition and excitation within the brain may help to modulate some of the autonomic nervous system functions that can be overactive during opiate withdrawal. To put it in simpler terms, when we are in opiate withdrawals, our autonomic nervous system is overactive, and because gabapentin has properties that works with neurotransmitters that calms the central nervous system or autonomic nervous system, it does help to ease the withdrawal. Again, I am not a doctor. This is not a medical advice. I personally never took gabapentin for opiate detox. However, I did use it a couple of years back when I was having pain. I had a crazy nerve pain where I could not move. I was moving furniture or something, and I hurt my back to the point. I'm basically rambling here, guys, so I will make it quick for you so you can avoid this pain. Basically, what I'm talking about here is that a doctor came to my house. He's a physical therapy doctor. He is not able to write prescriptions, and he came to my house because I couldn't walk. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't use the bathroom, couldn't use the shower. I had to be in my basement because I was able to use this shower without stepping over a bathtub, basically. So I was staying here, and doctor suggested I go to my general practitioner and get some gabapentin or Neurontin, and I could not really go anywhere, so I asked my buddy to see if he could get me some gabapentin. He was able to actually get me Neurontin. I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly, but Neurontin it's a brand of gabapentin. But he was able to get me a few of those capsules or tablets, and I took them one after another in a matter of about 24 hours. So those were 400 milligrams capsules, and at that time it was about three and a half years ago. I'm thinking about it now, and I think it was 3.5 years ago when I had this crazy back pain, and as a result I took 800 milligrams in a matter of 24 hours, and my pinched nerve was cured pretty much. So gabapentin and physical therapy with massage definitely helped me out, but doctor claims that it's not the physical therapy because massage done once would not really be able to fix such a badly pinched nerve. So he says that gabapentin mixed in with ibuprofen. I also took ibuprofen 600 milligrams every 8 hours, I believe it was. So yeah, gabapentin mixed with ibuprofen and one session of physical therapy with massage definitely helped my situation big time. And honestly, that's how I was introduced to gabapentin. Then I started to research it, and I stumbled upon the article on opiateaddictionsupport.com where Matt talks about gabapentin for opiate withdrawal. I don't think it's fair for me to go over the doses that you need to take gabapentin in order to ease your opiate withdrawals. I'm pretty sure you can find that information on Google and by watching some other credible YouTubers and professionals and doctors. I just wanted to share something very important in this video that will be coming up that may help you understand why using gabapentin in enormous amounts may not be necessary. Just stick around and we'll get to the most important part of the video soon. It was actually recently where my buddy of mine that was on Suboxone at a very low dose, and his problem was anxiety, always anxiety and this crazy thoughts and crazy like depression and nothing really physical. He never has like sweats and diarrhea and vomiting and other GI symptoms. He has psychological effects of opiate withdrawals. So what was shared with me that the guy was taking gabapentin about 1,000 milligrams per day for a week, and he was fine at that point. And then he would take gabapentin on occasion after that. But keep in mind, the guy is very physically active. He's always at the gym or working out, running outside. He is in a much better shape than I am. He doesn't have these aches and pains all over the body. Like, he is very physically active. So maybe that's also a big contributor to his success using gabapentin. Oh, very important thing that I wanted to bring up to your attention, and this is something that you probably didn't know about. everyone talks about gabapentin, and gabapentin is something that builds your tolerance quickly, or you build your tolerance to gabapentin very quickly, and it's very addicting and whatnot. And this is something that I learned about gabapentin that you may not be aware of. So the fact about gabapentin is, the higher the dose of gabapentin, the lower its bioavailability. I will repeat it for you. So the higher the dose you take of gabapentin, the lower its bioavailability. For example, and these are actual facts. So yeah, take a look at data taken from FDA.gov. So oral bioavailability of gabapentin is not dose proportional, meaning that the more you take, the lesser bioavailability is. So the absorption decreases. So this whole idea that I build tolerance to gabapentin quickly and this drug is very addicting because I gotta take more and more and more. But again, we are dealing with opiate withdrawals, guys. And if you have ever had cold turkey opiate detox, opiate withdrawals, you know that your level of withdrawals will intensify on day 3. So let's use an example. So on day 1 of your withdrawals, let's assume that we are using a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 is the worst. On a scale from 1 to 10, your withdrawals on day 1 could be at 5. So you decide to take 800 milligram gabapentin 3 times a day. Now day 2 comes and we feel even worse, so we decide to take more gabapentin. But because withdrawal intensifies and the bioavailability of the medication decreases, we feel like our tolerance grew and we gotta take more and more and more and more. And it's simply not the case. I will show you the actual facts and statistics based on averages, what exactly the bioavailability is if you use the drug 3 times a day in equal amounts. So look at these numbers. 900 milligrams taken per day has a bioavailability of 66%. So this is the highest as it goes. And now let's look at other numbers. So anything over 1,000, bioavailability drastically goes down. So 1,200 milligrams per day taken in 3 different increments has a 46% bioavailability. 2,400 milligrams, 34. So if you go down the list, you can see that 4,800 milligram dose of gabapentin has a bioavailability of 27%. And in my example here, I'm using 900 milligram dose compared to 3,600 milligram dose. So if you take 900 milligrams per day, you will probably absorb on average 594 milligrams. Now look at 3,600 milligram dose. Because the bioavailability is half of what in the previous example, on average, a human being will absorb about under 1,200 milligrams. So you take 4 times the amount of gabapentin, but you're barely absorbing twice as much. So this is the trick that many people are not getting with gabapentin. And this is for a regular person that's taking gabapentin for a nerve pain, for example. But imagine using gabapentin for opiate withdrawals. And I already said it twice, but I'll say it again. So let's imagine that you're taking gabapentin day 1 and then you're feeling worse on day 2, and then day 3 and day 4 are the worst. You feel like you gotta take more and more and more. You might need to take more than previously, but your body will simply not be able to absorb that much at the same rate. So yeah, don't expect miracles, and also do not think that gabapentin isn't working. It's just the way this drug is designed, and this is not something I made up. This is something that was shared with me when people were talking about that the more they take, the more they need, and the tolerance gets built fast, and people really talk negatively about this medication. In any event, I just wanted to bring this to your attention so you can hopefully understand what gabapentin is all about. And I'm trying to go back here to my first slide.
this is basically all based on my research. Gabapentin could be a life-saving medication for opiate withdrawals, but I do not believe that you do need to take more and more and more just to ease the symptoms, because it may not help.
And again, we all know that getting clean and sober is one thing, but staying clean and sober is something different.
So please do not confuse gabapentin as a medication that could cure addiction.
I want to talk about something very important, and this is gabapentin and fentanyl. So, a very close friend of mine, he actually has a very heavy fentanyl addiction. Because of his financial abundance that he was able to secure, he was able to actually justify his fentanyl use or abuse by saying, hey, listen, I am more productive when I'm taking it. I am actually making a lot of money because I am, very high. If I was in withdrawals, I would never be able to think so clearly, and etc., etc., etc. But to be honest with you, it's all BS. He was using the spray, and he would spray his nose every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes. And he recently, about 6 months ago, he finally realized that, okay, all my money that I got is not gonna last long if I'm gonna keep continuing to use. He made a decision to use Suboxone. He used to use oxys, and when oxys became crazy expensive and almost obsolete, he switched to this dirty fentanyl powder that he got from China, using some dark web services, whatever, crazy stuff. I do not recommend anyone to mess with this crap. I mean, this is horrible. His protocol was, with oxys, wait for 24 hours and take half a strip or take the full strip, and he was fine. He literally waited for 15 to 20 hours after he took his oxys, and he would take the full strip and he was okay. Now, this time around, he didn't really realize that fentanyl is different. So he used the full strip because he was in agony. He waited for 20 hours, followed the protocol, and he ended up in crazy withdrawals. And then I told him, listen, and he's like, never again. Suboxone is horrible. I'm not going to take it ever again. This is garbage. This is a scam. Why did I go into this? And he was trying to use fentanyl after that. It made it worse. He was going back to Suboxone. So basically, he would take Suboxone, feel horrible, take fentanyl. It didn't help. Take more Suboxone because he thought that Suboxone already blocked the receptor. He was feeling like crap for 2 days. I mean, literally for 2 days. A couple of months later, we all chatting, we all talking, and I asked him, "Are you still using the stuff?" He goes, yeah, I had a horrible experience with Suboxone, blah, 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 I don't want to do it again. I said, well, listen, you got to try it the right way. You got to use it the right way. Take a little bit at a time. After you wait for, no, I'm not going to ever do it again. I'm not going to ever do it again. And then our mutual buddy that I spoke about that has some gabapentin on his hand. So I told him, listen, why don't you, because I really want to help the kid. He's a good guy. He was a great guy before his very heavy drug use. Drug use made him a huge hater. I really wanted to help him out, and I said, listen, let's help this guy out, and why don't we try to do to use gabapentin for, a day at least, a day and a half, and clonidine, whatever you can get your hands on, because my buddy actually has a toolbox. He has a toolbox of everything you need, like in case the withdrawals hit, he's prepared for that, for the withdrawals. So I told him, listen, why don't you give him a couple of different things? We're gonna help him out. He doesn't want to go to doctor. He doesn't want to admit that he has this problem. He doesn't want it to be on his record, because if they find out, they might report him to cops, and he really has this paranoia. So he was able to get a few Suboxone, from the Suboxone clinic. He basically paid cash. What he did was he used Gabapentin in a large amounts. So basically he took Gabapentin, something that I personally don't recommend anyone doing. I mean, it's kind of a lot to me. He would take 600 milligrams every couple of hours, like literally to the point where he was like sleeping. He wasn't feeling any withdrawals whatsoever. And after, I can't remember exactly what happened, but I know that he used Gabapentin for a day and a half, and then he took Suboxone the right way, where he would take 0.5, then milligrams, then another 0.5 milligrams. So his withdrawals were non-existent. They were very minimal. When we go through withdrawal process, we all experience high blood pressure, increased heart rate, sweating, and so our central nervous system is constantly hyperactive. So gabapentin kind of reduces the activity in the central nervous system, which reduces the feeling of withdrawal, and that's why it does help with withdrawals. That's why it's used very aggressively now in different detox centers, and people do it at home for detox, for opiate detox. So I personally know that it does miraculous things when it comes to opiate withdrawals, and I believe that this buddy of mine, or a former buddy of mine, took a little too much. I mean, I told him that you want to feel withdrawals because your ultimate goal is to transition to Suboxone. So after he waited for altogether about 48 hours, I think it was. First he was waiting for about 15 hours. He started taking Gabapentin at about hour 15 from his last fentanyl dose. And after that he used about, like I said, each capsule every couple of hours. So he altogether he took about 8 pills the first day, and he was fine. Woke up in the morning, was feeling kind of crappy already, but it was already 37 hours he was already in after he took his last opiate. And altogether he took, not gonna lie, I think 3,000 milligrams of gabapentin. So I took 10 pills, 10 capsules, they were 300 milligrams each. So the single dose, which is considered to be abusive, is 3,600 milligrams. He took 3,000 milligrams in a day. So obviously he didn't even increase the single abuse dose. And yeah, so he was feeling okay. And honestly, if he had access to gabapentin, maybe it could have been a better choice. But he decided that he needed to change his life, and he slowly, after he took gabapentin for about 40 hours or so, he did the right Suboxone induction, which involved taking 0.5 milligrams every hour to every 90 minutes. It wasn't too comfortable for him, to be honest with you. He was very anxious about taking more, and I said, listen, you already had negative experience with Suboxone, you don't want to risk it. And I told them what you guys shared with me. I said people report that fentanyl stays in your receptors for days. Why would you risk it? Let's do it slow, let's do it right. And he actually took my advice. He took 0.5, then he took 2 milligrams after about 4 hours. And even though it wasn't something that I am normally talk about, he was at 8 milligrams a day. He decided to take 8 milligrams a day and stay on 8 for at least a couple of weeks to get his stuff together. If you watched my previous videos, I don't think it's always necessary, but in his case, with his level of addiction, in the amounts of fentanyl he was spraying up his nose every 10-15 minutes, I believe that he should be at 8 milligrams. If he would have went to the doctor, God knows what doctor would have prescribed him. Probably 24 milligrams. If doctors prescribed 24 milligrams for someone who took 40 milligrams of oxy per day. Like she literally took, and I don't want to blow up her spot. She actually, one of the girls posted here in on my recent video saying that someone who's been using Percocets for a little over a year and you're gonna give them 24 milligrams of Suboxone. And then people tell me that doctors, you know, shouldn't be hated on when it comes to Suboxone because they completely clueless or just negligent, that particular doctor. Anyway, so in this video we covered few topics. So first we talked about gabapentin being used for, you know, different things. I personally feel like it cured my insanely horrible nerve pain. I did learn that it does help when you are tapering Suboxone. It kind of helps you adjust to the new dose. Secondly, we talked about gabapentin's properties, and we said that gabapentin is not what people normally think it is. They think that it's something that builds your tolerance relatively quickly, and people can be adjusted. People need to take more and more and more. But then I talked to you about the fact that it's just the bioavailability decreases as the dosing increases. So the more you take, the less of the drug your body absorbs. That's what we talked about. And then we spoke about using gabapentin for opiate detox or opiate withdrawals. Matt had a great video on that. I do not want to kind of steal his thunder. He made a great video. If you want, I can link it in the description or in a pinned comment, but yeah, he made a great video. It's opiateaddictionsupport.com, the website, and he has a channel here also. We're not affiliated whatsoever with each other. He's not my buddy. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. But however, I personally don't think people should take as that much of gabapentin on day 1 or day 2 of withdrawals. Take it as needed. Don't take a lot right away. Take a pill or two. Pills takes about an hour to kick in, maybe 90 minutes. So if you gotta take more, just take more. Do not just assume that you gotta take 3,000 milligrams on day 1 and 3,500 day 2 and whatnot. So do it gradually, do it slowly. Make sure you are in control. I mean, I got a dog. This guy takes a lot of my time. I can't be walking the dog with a drool coming out of my mouth. So, you know. And finally, we spoke about using gabapentin to transition from fentanyl to Suboxone. This is not a clinical trial that I read. This is not a Wikipedia article. This is actually a true story that happened to one of my buddies. Let's call him my buddy. He's one of my buddies that actually had negative experience with precipitated withdrawals. We talked about transitioning from fentanyl to gabapentin for about 40-hour window, and then he waited a little bit more, took Suboxone, and increased Suboxone dose as needed, and it was successful. The guy was taking 8 milligrams. I think he takes less now. Don't quote me on that. It was back in July. Now it's October 20th. Today's October 20th. Yes. So I believe he is at 4 milligrams now, maybe 6 milligrams now. But in any event, I believe in his case, it's better to stay on Suboxone for longer, to slowly bring back his life and slowly transition to the new way of living. Anyway, guys, I know this was a long video and I apologize for uploading such a lengthy content. I hope you liked it, and if you did like the video, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, peace out. Thank you so much for watching my video until the end. I really appreciate it. Check out the videos you see on your left. They're exactly what you want to see next. I spend a lot of time on these videos and I'm pretty sure you will love them. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video. This means a lot to me. When you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon and hit on all. This way YouTube will notify you when I post my videos. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Be blessed, be safe, be happy, be prosperous, and I'll see you in my next videos.